Hello, my friends. It is the Beardy back with the newest edition of Beardy's Books for today, Wednesday, September 7th. And I got a pretty big list this week, so I'm looking forward to getting through it. Some really awesome books. And I just want to real quick say I was at Baltimore Comic Con this past weekend on Sunday and had a really good time. I went down with a couple of friends. Really good conversation and laughs on the way down. The con itself, Baltimore is. I haven't been to many other cons, but I love Baltimore. It's all about the comics and the comic related stuff. Yeah, they've got some actors and celebrities there. A few of them this year that I was pretty keen on meeting, but just was not in the wasn't in the plan this year. So hopefully some of them will be back and can maybe get some autographs from them. But got to meet some really great artists and writers, people I haven't met before. I got to meet Mark Schultz. He was really cool. Had a nice little chat with Adam Hughes as he was signing my stuff. I showed you a couple months back, we did the Betty and Veronica cover with the shop. So I was able to give him a copy of the cover we did and got some feedback from him about what's going on with the book and everything. So that was pretty cool. And what else? Got to see Frank Cho, Paul Pelletier, Paul Renaud, who else? Yannick Paquette. I apologize if I'm butchering anyone's names. Who else? What else did I have? I think those were the big ones that I met. Mark Schultz and Adam Hughes, Frank Cho, like all of those guys, really great. Alison San, Adam Hughes' wife, she was there. Got one of her sketchbooks. Had a nice little chat with her as well. She was really cool. Got to meet her a couple of years back and had a nice chat with her. So it's cool seeing all these people. And I highly suggest if any of you live in the area or feel like traveling, I encourage you to go to Baltimore Comic Con next year. They usually do it the first weekend of September. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a great event. It's awesome. There's a ton of vendors, booths for comics, lots of back issues, graphic novels, great deals on stuff, toys, action figures, collectibles. They have the huge tower of T-shirts. I'm pretty sure they're probably at like every convention everywhere. In the artist alley, I feel really bad. I did not spend much time in the artist alley for the independent artists this year. I had a very limited budget. And while I have been an artist in artist alley myself, I know how that goes. I just didn't want to walk down the aisle and reject everything I saw because I didn't, I wasn't planning on spending anything in there this year. So to any of you who are down there, I apologize. I'm sure you have amazing stuff and hope to see you there next year. Hopefully I will be back with some of my own work next year set up with a booth as well. So anyway, enough about Baltimore Comic Con. I'm going to move on to the Beardy's books for the week. All right, as always, starting at the bottom and working my way down to my favorite. This week, despite being some of my favorite characters, Uncanny X-Men, well, maybe not necessarily my favorite characters in this title, but Uncanny X-Men number 12 is the first pick this week. It's interesting. We're moving on from that the whole Apocalypse War story, and we're setting some things into motion here with the Hellfire Club and Magneto trying to preserve all of mutant kind, including making deals and bargains with people that he might not otherwise want to. So it's interesting where this story is going. I'm definitely intrigued with the story. My big disappointment with it, again, comes down to the artwork. I'm not a fan of Greg Land's artwork. But that's just me. I still like the book. And I really like the story Cullen Bunn is telling. And so we'll see where it goes. I'm excited to see what happens next. Speaking of next, part of DC Rebirth, Cyborg Rebirth number 1. This was a book I'm getting all the Rebirth one-shots to give him a shot. I was not expecting to be as intrigued by this. I've always read Cyborg as, an extra character in Justice League in recent years. I never read the Teen Titans when he was on the team before, or Titans, or any of those books. He's always just been on the Justice League. I did not read the last series, but I read this issue, and I'll have to check and see who's doing the book on the main series going forward. But if it is any of these, the people on this creative team down here, I'm gonna be real excited because this was really cool. This made Cyborg, it kind of rehashes his origin a little bit, but gives you a little different twist and things that are going on. And it was really interesting reading that because that played into the next issue I'm going to show you, which is Justice League 4, with his again the Paquette cover, which is the connecting cover. So I'll get these lined up at some point. So it goes issue 2, 3, and 4 now are Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, and it's going to keep continuing through the next couple issues to get the rest of the league on there. So it's pretty cool. So we're dealing with, in this issue, they're continuing the story. Powers are getting stolen, and humans have merged into these giant beings, which is something that's always kind of freaked me out. And something's going on with the Earth. There's a really interesting, huge global thing going on. There's earthquakes. Superman's in the core of the Earth trying to stop these things that are causing these earthquakes. There's something out in space that the two new Green Lanterns are dealing with. Wonder Woman's arguing with some disembodied thing, and then the final page, the big reveal, is interesting. And I won't say any more. I will say that if you're going to read these, read Cyborg first, then read Justice League if you get these issues this week. Not saying that what happens in Cyborg is a direct coincidence or connection to what's going on in Justice League, but it's one of those things that I'm glad I read them in that order, because it just read it and see. Cyborg number 1, Rebirth number 1, and the Justice League number 4 is the way to read those books. All right, we got another DC book for you this week. This is the first time with the new banner logo I've seen on any of the titles for the DC books, and I think that's pretty sweet. The DC Rebirth is still branding at the top. There's a little taken second tier to the Sins of the Mother Part 1, so I'm kind of liking the format here of these the DC covers with the subtitle at the top of the story arc, and it's all about Ollie and his half-sister, Emiko, I think. New artist on the series, I believe. I don't remember this guy's art from the previous couple issues. Stephen Byrne. And I really like it. This opening space page is pretty awesome. I'll see if I can find something that gives a little more highlight to characters' faces and stuff. But this is cool. So we're picking up and moving on from the Inferno story that ended last issue, and moving on to this new one, which is exploring stuff that was set up in there. That's one thing I like with the DC books so far, and the other couple ones I'll get to in a minute, is that we've kind of are reaching the end of the first arc with some of these books, and some of the things that happen in there are directly feeding what's going on in the next one. So these are working very much more like modern TV dramas, where you'll have a story arc for a couple episodes or a couple issues, and then it feeds into the next thing. And I think I like that. It's working really well, and we'll see where all this stuff goes. But check out some of Byrne's work here. I think, again, it feels right in line with the previous two artists. It's his own flair, his own style, but it feels like it still fits in the world of this Green Lantern in the Rebirth marketing or campaign, or whatever you want to call it. So it's really cool to see where things are going. So Green Arrow, again, a book I never thought I'd read, and it's one of my favorite of the DC books right now. And next up is my second to last issue of Doctor Strange that's on my list. I'm going to be ending at issue 12. I really like this cover. I like the split between the old world and the new world, the way magic is all fractured and broken after all the attacks from the empirical, and all of that. And this is cool because it kind of harkens back to the first issue of this series. Different artists and everything, but it works really well. You get to see the world of the Marvel Universe post, the end of magic, or almost end of magic. And it's really cool, and you get to see some flashback into Strange's or his origin arc in there somewhere. It was pretty cool. All right, up next, I got 3 more books to do and a couple more minutes to go. Frank Cho's new debut book from Boom Studios, which I got an advance preview by picking up the Baltimore Comic Con exclusive down there. But I'm going to show you the regular cover this week. Skybourne. This book is pretty rad. They're saying it's James Bond meets fantasy, and it's everything they sold it to be. Again, Frank Cho's artwork is pretty awesome. He's got the classic look on his characters here. It's very much Frank Cho, but it feels like a Frank Cho that I haven't quite seen before in a way. I really like it. Maybe it's the colorist. I don't know. It's really good. I really like it, and the story's cool. Frank Cho's writing the story. I like his stuff. There's some crazy cool action scenes going on in here. I won't linger too long, but it's great. So Skybourne, new number 1 from Boom, out today. Don't really know what's going on in this. Someone's after an artifact, and there's some cool stuff going on. It fits into a lot of classic tropes with things, but then kind of does some twists. Anyway, it's really cool. All right, back to 2 more DC books, and then we're done for today. Superman number 6 is the kind of wrap up to the Eradicator story that's been going on, and it's pretty awesome. Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason have been telling a fantastic story between the writing and the art. I just love this book. Come on. Last issue, you had Lois getting into Batman's, armored suit to help Superman fight Eradicator. And this is not superpowered Lois. This is mom reporter Lois, writer Lois, and she does some amazing stuff in this series. I really love reading about Clark and Lois as parents and how they're raising John, and the story, their arc that they've been going on since Convergence last year. To me, it is the best thing to come out of Convergence was the Lois and Clark, their son John, the birth of him in that Convergence through the Lois and Clark miniseries, and now this has just been fantastic. And it feels like this series, I kind of feel like I know where this lands now. This now lands, I believe, before the events happening in Action Comics where he's fighting Doomsday. At least that's what it feels like. So, because you kind of get some of the resolve as to why Batman is having an issue with Superman in the Action comic books and Justice League and stuff. All right, last one for the week. Favorite book. It took me a moment to kind of get into this cover, but after I read the issue, I really liked it. This kind of sculpted relief engraving thing on the cover from Josh Middleton. And what a way to start the issue. It picks up right where it left off with Superman just hovering right in front of Aquaman. And there's a great image. I'm going to show you this. Maybe I shouldn't. So if you don't want any spoilers at all, look away now. I'm going to show a page that I think is just pretty awesome because this just shows you how badass Aquaman really is. Look at that. I don't know if you can see the words, but Superman said something, and Aquaman is like, "I'm a king," and decks him. And it's pretty impressive. He and Mara get into a tussle with Superman, and Aquaman really proves his grit, not just in fighting Superman, but what he does as a character and with his actions and stuff in this book. It's pretty intense. It's pretty awesome. So that's it. That's Beardy's books for September 7th, 2016. Hope you all have a great week, and get out to your shops. Go to your shops, get your comics, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.